If you could please silence your cell phones at this time. Also, we ask that if you could please refrain from getting up and down during the speakers, but if you must, please do so quietly. If you're going to smoke, we ask that you please be away from any buildings. Please be respectful as we are guests of the church. Also, if you have any announcements in between speakers, please see the group secretary. Group secretary, raise your hand. All right, at this time, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. This is Jimmy.
I'm Jimmy. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Jimmy.
This is a great place to be tonight. You guys are just upbeat, happy. I'm happy to be here. Happy Thanksgiving. And it's a good day to be grateful in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm grateful to be sober today, and I'm grateful to the God of my understanding. I wasn't always that way. I didn't come in here grateful, and when I was asked to look at my gratitude, I couldn't find it. And I didn't know what it was, didn't know what it felt like. Might surprise you, I drank before I got here. And I wasn't a pretty drinker. I was a creative drinker, though. My first drink was, that I can remember, was apricot contro. I don't know if you know what that was. I didn't know what it was. But I remember it. And you don't forget something like that. I don't forget it when it went down, and I didn't forget it when it came up. In fact, it made such an impression, I remembered the name of it. And then I think I followed that with something like Ripple. Remember that? It was a classy thing. And that tasted so good, I added Kool-Aid to it. I was always, inventive. And then, I threw a few things in there like T-Bird and Night Train and anything that worked quick and was cheap and felt good and did the job and was fuel to get me where I needed to go. That's what I did. And because it worked for me. And I never considered myself a normal drinker, and never crossed my mind to want to be one. And I didn't know any normal drinkers, and well, that's not really correct. I mean, I saw some go by, and there were some. Come to find out, recently there were some in my own family. But they just weren't around me, and I was someplace else. So I always had the delusion that I could stop when I wanted to. That's a strange thing when you really take a look at my track record. And because I never did stop, I just exploded. And then, somebody else would pick up the pieces. So very, very grateful to be here tonight, and I know you all are too. I heard it said recently that thank you is a perfect prayer in itself, So, thank you. I didn't know I was going to be a 10-minute speaker tonight. This is kind of like my own home group here. I'm a member of the Thursday night speaker group in Clearwater, Florida. World famous speaker group in Clearwater, Florida. And we have just a great time. We're at Hope Presbyterian Church in Clearwater, Florida. We have a 7:30 meeting there every Thursday. We have a gratitude meeting every Thanksgiving. And our members get to share a little bit of their experience, strength, and hope. But ordinarily we have a 10-minute speaker and a 40-minute speaker. So I should be good at this, doing a 10-minute speaker thing, but I didn't know I was going to talk tonight. But I did want to, qualify a little bit. At the end, I had graduated through all of that stuff. I drank everything. at one time or another. Sometimes I was a fancy drinker, like I just got through describing. And sometimes I just, I would just go through 2-liter bottles of what was called, at the time, Florida wine cooler. Just that generic. And you would just go into the cash and carry and buy that. And that's what I did. And I was working on a drunken lawn crew. What it was. It was all drunks. And that's why I had a job. And I worked from dawn to dusk, and they all drank, so I could drink. And when I got off work, I could start on my 2-liter bottles, and I could drink all night, and get up in the morning and drink all day. And that was my existence. When I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, and God stepped in. That's the only thing I can consider it today, because it was an intervention that was done on me. I'd been to Alcoholics Anonymous countless times. Isn't it a miracle that there's a place for guys like me and you? And that we're permitted to come in here to these rooms. I'm just so grateful for that. Hard nuts to crack. The last house on the block and all that stuff. And they just opened up their arms and just brought me in. I thought, oh, geez, they're going to know I'm coming back again. We all have the same thoughts, just everybody's different and we're all the same. And I was just another one of them coming back in. And I've gotten to stay here now for over 25 years. Yeah. It's just been a wonderful, wonderful journey. Did all the things you hear about, and as a result, I spent yesterday with my wonderful wife, invited over to my brother's house, and my whole family, for the first time in 25 years, invited back into the fold of my family. Yeah. And I started out the black sheep of my family and went downhill. That's true. And there were 20 of them. And there they are, all standing in a circle. And the hostess says, why don't we all start off by saying what we're grateful for? And I thought, didn't AA invent that? And it came around, and one of the guys had wine in his hand, and he said, I'm grateful for yeast. And I'm grateful for what it does for me, and I'm grateful for feeling this good and having this family around me. They got around to me, and I said, I'm grateful for yeast too. And I'm grateful for family, and I'm grateful for y'all having me here. And I'm grateful you don't have to see me drinking that stuff. And I'm grateful you don't have to know why. And everybody started laughing. A little bit later in the day, one of the gals in the family walked up to me and said, this doesn't bother you, does it? And she had a glass of wine in her hand. And I said, no, it doesn't bother you, does it? And we both laughed, And he calls it full circles. This place is just full of full circles. Just stay for the miracle. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Jimmy. Danielle will now read the traditions.
Hi, my name's Danielle. I'm an alcoholic. 12 traditions. 1. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as He may express Himself in our group conscious. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise. The less problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
And Brad will do the chips.
Hi, I'm Brad. I'm an alcoholic. All right, these chips are representations of length of sobriety. And the first one we have is silver chip. And this is for 1 day of sobriety, or if you want to surrender for the program. Nobody? All right, the second chip we have is for 1 month. 1 month of sobriety. Okay, the second one we have is for 60 days, 2 months. We have one. That was Jennifer. All right, do we have anyone with 90 days of sobriety? Sorry, I dropped your chip, Justin. All right, 6 months. Anyone have a sobriety record of 6 months? And 9 months? Scott. And the last one we offer is 1 year or multiple years. There's Ruskin with 3 years. And, give yourself a hand, your higher power, if you can have a drink.
Thanks, Brad. All right, now I'd like to introduce our second speaker. This is Annie from St. Pete.
Whoops. Almost dropped the bottle. Golly. Can't do that.
We got to find a place for everything. Just bear with me. Hi, everyone. How's your Thanksgiving? No one in this room ate too little, right? That's good news. My name is Ann Karen. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I'm actually from Pinellas Park, but we usually tell people we're from Clearwater, St. Pete, because most people don't even know where Pinellas Park is. So it's okay. Hi. I want to thank Jennifer for asking me to come to speak. And she asked me 2 months ago, right after my 34th anniversary. And there was a time that somebody had given me that much time to think about it. By now I'd be locked away. I'd have a nervous breakdown, because I'd have to think about how important I am and how important what I'm going to say and all this other happy, but I was telling my baby Karen, I don't think now about getting nervous until just before. That's perfect timing, don't you think? Also, I'm getting very old, so young people, when you tell them things like, yeah, I just had a cup of coffee. Jennifer wanted to know if I wanted anything to drink and if I'd like to have some water. And I said, yes. I said, it'd be a challenge since I just had water. I can drink. I just had coffee. I can drink the water. And sometime between the middle of my talk, I'll have to go to the bathroom. Now, if you're young, this doesn't compute. If you're getting older like me, boy, it fits right in there with you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So those things used to scare me too, but they don't anymore. I'm just really grateful. I'm always grateful for an opportunity to speak in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Always grateful for an opportunity to give back just one small token of all the wonderful things that have been given to me. And I have everything. I am richer than the richest person in the world. I have riches beyond measure. And I could not put them all in one room. And I don't even know if I could describe them in one talk. But I can try in a general way to tell you what I was like, what happened, what I'm like now. And it's just, I was thinking sitting there tonight that my cup runneth over. And I don't, and it's okay to run over. It really, truly is. I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for my home group members that are with me tonight, Brian and Dwayne, and my husband who brought me down, Jimmy. You just heard him. So you know he's amazing. You know. And my friend Barbara, who's here, and Karen, who's one of just a group of incredibly special people. If you haven't had a chance, please come down and see my girlfriend Susan. Susan and I have been buddies from first time I met her. She just lights up her room, and I really love her service and her commitment. And a lot of you that I see here tonight that I know. And the newlywed Chris and his girl. Well, I want to tell you about the redneck family I grew up in. I know that's going to really disappoint you because it was exciting. I mean, it was just something to write in the record books. I mean, you know, I was looking as far back as I can remember to escape those people. They were probably looking to escape me. Now, I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, so that means I'm a Tar Heel, and I know what they were doing. They didn't know what they were doing. That's okay. None of us knew. And I was thinking today, usually before I'm going to have to speak, I have these flashbacks of incredible, enlightening things I'd love to share with you. Everybody's shaking their head that's talked before. Because those are things that are just words of wisdom that you really need to hear, right? And they all go out the window the minute you get up to speak. But today I thought of the dumbest crap you have ever heard. I'm thinking, what? Whoa. Erase the screen. Let's start over again. And so I have no idea how this is going to turn out, but what I do know is that where two or more are gathered in my midst, there I am. And I know that God is in charge. And God has been in charge from the very beginning. And I'm fully convinced that the moment we say the serenity prayer in these rooms, it's His game, not mine. I just have to do what I'm told to do, and that's just open my mouth and share whatever comes out, and it'll be just exactly right. Might not be the way I want it to be, and I might leave here thinking, oh, that's what I should have said. But my job is to talk, and your job is to listen, and we'll just go for it and see what happens. I always tell me, if you don't like what you hear, just leave it here and pick up something you can use. I started drinking at the ripe age of 25. I thought it was about time. No, actually, I didn't plan on becoming a drunk, and it wasn't on my list. Actually, what my plan was to escape my redneck neighborhood and leave those those wonderful, undereducated, over-religious people and marry him. Now, if you're a guy, you were probably looking to marry her. If you're drunk like me and you have fantasies like I do, you probably know what that means. That means they had way more money than they knew what to do with, and they wanted to give it all to you. And I was going to live in the house. You know the one I'm talking about. The house you created. The house. And I wasn't going to have to work. No, that wasn't on my list. And I don't have any children. I wasn't really thinking that far ahead. But then, he was going to be wonderful and I was going to be treated like a princess. Well, I'm here to tell you that didn't happen. And I ran off with my first drunk when I was 17. And it just seemed like the thing to do. His parents didn't want us to run off, and mine didn't either, but mine ran off with us. And that was interesting. They want to get rid of you when they go to justice of peace with you and say, yes, we'll sign, no problem. Yeah, what line? Oh, yeah, where's the notary? Yeah, let's go for this. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm married to this guy now. And we had 2 children right off, and I'm like 19, less than 20, and I have 2 babies, and I don't know what to do with them. And the doctor said, there's something you can do for that. I was really, okay. So I don't know how this is going on, and I don't know why I'm in this mess with this drunk. Because he didn't start out that way. He was going to college, and I was being the dutiful wife that was supporting him. Somewhere in between then, his alcoholism kicked in. Now, I didn't know what alcoholism was because I didn't grow up in alcoholism. And I don't know if he was an alcoholic, but what I can tell you is that he died tragically when he was 51 years old. And I have been blessed to find the Rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. Let's put it this way, the Rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous found me. And when he died, I went in the yard and I cried. And I didn't cry so much for the loss of the love, and I didn't cry so much for the loss of the fact that he didn't get to be a parent to his children. What I cried over was he didn't get to find you. And he was an incredibly brilliant man. He was educated, he was smart, he was savvy. But when he had a drink, he was dangerous. Dangerous to anybody around him, and deadly. Deadly. And he nearly tried to kill me 4 or 5 times. And I didn't know what that was about either. I just thought he was being a bad boy and he needed to straighten up. And, I couldn't understand how a good little Christian girl like me had ended up with this sicko. And I didn't know what the problem was. And I kept his secrets, and I lied for him. And I did all those crazy, sick things that we do when we're trying to protect somebody who's doing all this stuff. And I thought I deserved everything that was happening. Little did I know that he was in the grips of a terrible, terrible disease. He had no choice about what he did or when he did it or what was going to happen to him. And he never did find the rooms. When I made my amends with him, he said to me, wow, so you're one of those alcoholics. Man, I would have never guessed that, he said. Huh, you serious about that? He's drunk at the time. And he says, I went to one of those AA meetings. Yeah, you people are different, all right. He said, it just wasn't for me, he says. Wasn't too terribly long after that he died. And I thought, what a shame. I bet if he could walk into the rooms right now, we'd be his kind of people. And I believe we'd be the kind of people he'd want to sit down with and he'd want to hear whatever message any of us had to share. I guarantee you that would be the case. But he didn't get here, and there are many who don't. So we must be very loving and kind to those people who have to come back. And those people who aren't able to stay yet. But they get into the rooms because they run out of places to go. And there are people like us. And there are people like us that are unfortunate. And they just seem to be born that way. And the book tells us about that too. Anyway, I tripped into the rooms when I came into the rooms for a short period of time. My mother had become critically ill. I was with marriage number 3. I loved getting married. And favorite thing. Loved getting out of it, loved getting in it. I had a little harder time getting out of them than getting in them. He'd say, I love you, and I believed him. And he'd say, do you? And I'd say, yes, and off we go. One day at a time. It was just really amazing. So I went through 3 of those pretty rapidly. My first one was my first drunk, and I escaped that. And I thought I was supposed to stay in that, but I didn't know you don't have to put up with abuse and illness and everything. And I was so busy trying to make sure he had an education, I didn't bother with mine. I figured who needed one, just have kids. And so I ended up with number 2, and number 2 escaped. Silly boy. But anyway, Richard was normal, disgusting. No. He didn't get it. He didn't get y'all either. Later on, I went back and met up with Richard and tried to make amends to him. And he said, I want to show you something. And he was harboring or holding this picture of me like it was something precious to behold. And I look at this thing. I am ripped, roaring, red-eyed, over-made up, drunk. And I'm going, this is your treasure? Whoa! And I made amends to him, and he just looked at me like I had 3 heads. Because if you're not one of us, you don't get it. You don't get it. You may say, that's nice, and pat us on the head and move on, but you don't get it. And he didn't get it. He never did. I don't know what happened to him, He used to be there when I ran out of money. And very convenient. But I did attempt to make amends to Richard, and I hope he's doing well wherever he is. But he dearly loved me. And a lot of people love us. They love us way beyond what we're able to accept. They love us beyond that scope of acceptance that we can entail. It's just how it is with us. My receiver was broke. You could have loved me to death and I wouldn't have got it. I really didn't get it. I always wanted more. I don't care what it was, I wanted more of it. And I never wanted to be here, I wanted to be over there. And I didn't want to be with that guy, I wanted to be with this guy. And I didn't want to be with her, I wanted to be over there with her. I didn't want that job, I wanted this one. I didn't want that car, I wanted this one. And if you relate to that, you know, and it wouldn't have made any difference. And until I found out I had this terrible malady that nothing would have fixed, a hole that nothing would have filled, no religion, no psychologist, no mental health clinic, none of that would fill this hole until I found you people. And I really thought I was the most terrible misfit ever was, that I was never going to fit anywhere with anybody, and my life kept unfolding tragically. And I kept tripping over some very serious, sick things. I ended up in marriage number 3, and during that 10 years, some pretty deadly things happened to me that happened to a lot of us women because we give up things. And if you're a drunk like me, you start giving up pieces of yourself so you can protect your drinking source, so you can protect your supply, so you can drink as much as you want without him or her saying, you know, don't you think you're a little overboard here? And I would have gone to any length to keep you from noticing how many drinks I'm having. I'm drinking while you're in bed. You know, and then when you get up, we have drinks together. I mean, this is how I'm drinking. You know, I learned to pop a top in the middle of the night, dead silence, and you couldn't hear a thing. And I thought that was talent. I thought that was real talent. I learned later on about things like hiding booze in the toilet tank, and I thought, wow, how clever. Boy, am I really a dumb drunk. I never thought about stuff like that. I used to go to meetings with a guy, I can't even remember his name now, but what he did was he dumped all of the fluid out of the washer thing in his truck, you know, the windshield washer container under the hood, and he ran him a tube into the truck cab, and he's got all his booze in there, and he's got a little switch where all he has to do is just squeeze him off some, and his wife is one of those normal people. And she'd say, how in the name of God is he getting that drunk? I don't ever see a bottle. The fool falls out of the truck. I don't see a beer can. I don't see a beer bottle. He is sloppy. He's just absolute, and he's drinking it out of the, windshield wiper. I thought, how clever. If I ever go out again, I've got so many tricks, but when I drink, I'm dumb and numb. And I don't think about any of that stuff, I love what Jimmy says about we drink so exotic, we drink things like vanilla flavoring, cooking wine. Try that for a drunk. That'll send you into orbit. But when you're desperate and you don't have any money and you can't get to the store, you'll do anything, you'll do anything for a drunk. And that's where I got. And things tragically, like I said, started happening. And the people that are around me, now I'm married to one of those controlling dudes now. Now, I usually go into great lengths to tell you that I married Bill and Bob, which is true. Now, they never got to these rooms, and God knows I think they probably could have used it. But anyway, he was a God of understanding. He was a God of yours, too, if you let him be. And we all need to get our act together. He was a very busy guy. You were too fat, too skinny, too old, too black, too white, too green, too red. You were always too something for him, But it gave him a lot of stuff to do, When you're concentrating on everybody else's inventory, you don't have much time for what's going on with you. You are busy. And he was a very busy guy. And when I found you people, he did not appreciate you at all. Thank you very much. So one night he came to just kind of look at you. He kind of sat over at the table and glared at you. He wanted to know what y'all were all about. He wanted to know what you had that he didn't. And when he left that room, he still didn't get it. What in the name of God did you have that he didn't? How could you keep me from picking up a drink? See, he didn't want me to stop drinking. He just wanted me to do what he said to do. How many people identify with that sort of thing? How many people have something in their lives that you're willing to turn your will and your life over care of? Now, I've given up on God's stuff a long time ago. I did not want any of God's business. I heard people say, well, he didn't want any of mine. I didn't want any of his. I thought he was Santa Claus. He fell down on the job. Needs to get a new plan. Take me off the list. I grew up in a fundamentalist religious environment. And boy, they scared me. And I used to take people to church with me and never saw them again. They would go, I'd see them at school and they go, hi. And they'd take off. I don't blame them. I wanted to take off too, but they were all watching me. My mother had spies in the church. And my mom and dad got it. They did. My mother was I wish I had 1/3 of the faith that my mother had. My mother was deeply spiritual, deeply connected. She believed it. I thought, she's making it up. She wasn't. She believed every bit of it. She lived it. She believed it. She died. She died very, very young. And she was connected. She knew where she was going. She had no doubt. I didn't know where I was going, but it wasn't going to be a pretty place. And I'm sitting there, and they're talking about rules and regulations, and you need to get it right. And I'm thinking, whoa, I'm in trouble already, and I'm not even a teenager. And I know that my life's over with, and I'm just 10 or 11 years old. I mean, I'm already thinking about the worst thing in the world. They say you think about it, you might as well be doing it. So I'm thinking, well, I'll just make a list and get started early. And so I did. And so it really kind of went downhill from there. And my father had a 9th grade education. He was a little sheet metal mechanic. But my dad would have given you anything. He loved everybody. He loved people. And he would have done anything for anybody. My poor little dad would get in the car and rescue me when I was in some hotel where I was supposed to meet up with some guy who had the money that I didn't have so we could really drink. And I'd be deserted out in somewhere in podunk nowhere. And I called dear old Daddy. And Daddy would get in that old beat up Ford and that poor little old man, knowing he had to work the next day. You think I ever thought once about his concern? You ever think I thought one time about my poor mother when I wouldn't call home and she had my 2 little babies she was looking after? Well, if I call home, they want to know where I am. They ask too many questions when you call home and you're on the road drinking. First, they want to know where you are. Bad question. Second one they want to know is when you're coming home. Another bad idea. Don't call. Don't have to answer them. Don't have to lie. And so my poor mother, I never thought about what she was going through. I never thought about all the times my mother prayed for me and then my mother worried over me, or my dad. All those times that my dad would bring me back home and deposit me on the doorstep, and I'd go off with whoever was available at that time. I never once thought about how he felt, what it did to him, or any of those people in my life. And they say that we, on the average, we hurt about 8 to 10 people in our lives, that we affect those. And yet there are those of us that come in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and get ready to do our 8th and 9th step and go, oh, gee, I need to make amends to myself. I really, I've really hurt myself bad. Oh, really? Wow. I couldn't say that. I don't think I'd ever be able to get away with that one because I hurt everybody that came near me. And that's too stupid to know it. And I really was afraid when I came in the rooms that you would tell me how dumb I was because I didn't have a clue. I was about the most ignorant thing that walked. Because when you come up from that background, you go from the cradle to the marriage vow, and then you go from having children and being ignorant, and you don't learn anything. You just continue that pattern. So by the time that you come to a place like this, I was just dumb as a box of rocks. And I knew you were going to throw me out of here. And then I heard Dr. Johnson. And I ended up in Nashville, Tennessee when I finally got sober. But I heard Dr. Johnson in a room like this one night. I don't know how long Dr. Johnson had been sober. But there's this wonderful African-American man who had all kind of PhDs and degrees and everything. He said, I nearly missed that gig altogether because I was too smart for you people. He said, I knew more than you knew. These simple little silly steps, are you kidding me? These silly little traditions, what's the matter with you people? I am way smarter than that. I really don't need all this stuff to get sober and to figure my life out. He said, and then I had to catch myself and realize that if I don't do what you tell me to do, I'm going to die out there. I can have all the degrees in the world and it won't make a bit of difference. He said, so you can't be too stupid to be in here. Trust me in this. He said, you're probably better off if you are. Oh, thank God. I don't have to leave. This is coming from a PhD. I'm impressed. But also, Alcoholics Anonymous taught me everything I need to know how to live. And for that, I'm truly grateful. all of the awful, rotten things I used to do, all of the shortest things I used to do, short myself on. They say your weakest link will be your greatest asset. I'll tell you a couple stories about that you may find very amusing. I'll try to watch my time. There's nothing worse than a speaker that wants to go over there so impressed with themselves. Boy, my sad butt story, I don't think I'm really impressed with. But anyway, marriage number 4 ended. I bet you're really surprised. And how that happened, because I always thought that these people were taking care of me until I looked around one day and had done a little bit of inventory taking, and I thought, good Lord, Ed, you're taking care of them. You're paying the bills, you're taking care of the groceries, you're writing the bad checks. I mean, they're coming after you. He's sitting in the back room having another beer. I mean, come on, let's get realistic here. What's really going on? You just don't want to be by yourself. You just don't want to be alone. You just don't want to be abandoned. That's what the real story is. You've been by yourself your whole life. You've never been with anybody. You've always hooked up with people who don't know how to be connected with you. And they'd probably be wonderful with the right person, but as sick and whacked as you are not a good mix for these people. So one night he did the worst thing. When I had messed up, I found this sponsor who had a black belt Al-Anon husband. Now, when she didn't pick me up, he did. I mean, I'm getting it from both ends. And I said to him one night, I said, I'm not speaking that SOB again. He said, what's going on now? Now, here's how it worked at my house. You did something I didn't like, I'm mad at you. But I'm not telling you. I'm going to pout. We're not talking to you. You'll ask me what's wrong, and I'll go, nothing. Now, I don't know if you're good. I'm good at this. I was good at this. I forgot how to do it, but I got really good at this. So I didn't talk to him for 2 weeks. Now, this guy's a real blabbermouth. He's a salesman. I mean, he's a lot bigger than me. And he's going, what in the name? He's close to normal. I mean, he's crazy, but he's close to normal. And he's going, what? So Daddy Bob, that's what I used to call him, Daddy Bob, the Al-Anon black belt, says to me, what are you so mad at him about? I said, he forgot my birthday. He said, oh, for God's sake. He said, and what's your part in this? I said, I am furious. He said, and who's hurting? Me. He said, you might want to go apologize. I said, I'm not telling him. I don't tell anybody I'm sorry, not going to happen. He said, how long would you like to hurt? You know, you can do the 10th step anytime you like, sweetheart. You really can. You don't have to wait till you're 40 years sober. You can just go tell it. So he said, if you like to hurt, go ahead. Have fun with that. Talk to you about it next week. Tell me how that works for you. So, sorry, it's so big. So I prayed about it, I'm praying to this thing I don't understand. I go home and I finally get up enough courage to confront my husband at that time and tell him that I have something to share. And he says, what? And I says, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I've been very upset. And I told him why. He said, fine, turned around and walked off. And I thought, well, because at that point in my life, I expected results. See, I always expected something. I was a just-in-case person. I expect results. I've learned don't expect anything and don't plan any results. And everything will be a plus. It won't make any difference. It'll all work out. Anyway, so one night, this guy I'm married to says to me, all right, this is it. Now, I've been putting a little bit of money aside. And my children were teenagers at the time, and they were both working, making good money. I'm living in Nashville, Tennessee, during the disco era. Oh my God, did I love disco era. If you didn't get there, boy, you missed it. But you'll have your era, so don't miss it. Just stay sober through it if you can. Anyway, so we had already been planning, and my sponsor had told me at that time, she said, Nina, you can't make a decision that will affect your life for the first year. I know whatever he's doing and whatever's going on seems really a mess, but you really need to work on you before you make any major decisions. And she says, her husband used to say to me, Annie, you do not have to fight with this person. It takes two to fight. I promise to God, you do not have to fight. Have you ever seen somebody refuse to fight with you that wants to fight? It's a real no-win situation. Nobody wins in an argument. I'm telling you, you do not have to fight with him. I said, what am I going to do? She said, say the serenity prayer. Say a slogan off the wall. So the only one I could remember is, this too shall pass. So he's towering over me, he's fighting with me, and I won't fight back. And he said, what is wrong with you? And I'm going, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. He said, what are you saying? I said, nothing, I'm not saying anything. My children thought I had lost my mind. But he got frustrated and quit fighting with me because he didn't have anybody to fight with. It takes two to fight. So one night he says, this is a gig. He said, those people in those AA rooms are me. I said, oh, it's a no-win situation, bye. And I had already started packing, so I said, you know what I'm going to tell you. And it was probably the greatest, to pick you over him. What a winning situation that was. And I knew I was walking away with a dummy little job, not making enough money. And I didn't know how I was going to get to the meetings, but I knew people would get me there if I was really willing to pick up the phone. And my life started. I got into service work early, not by my own choosing, because I missed a business meeting. They elect you to things when you don't show up. I don't know why they do that, but they kept doing that. Every time I missed a meeting, they would elect me to something. And I said, I can't do that. I can't get in front of people. I cry if they ask me to read something. I can't get from the coffee pot to the table without spilling my coffee. Are you kidding me? I'm not getting in front of anybody. They say, oh, yeah, you will. Oh, yeah, you will. I said, what if I get nervous? I said, so what? Who cares? Everybody gets nervous. What's the big deal? Just do it. Okay, so every time they let me something, I'd cry. It works really well it's a reliever anyway. So I got to get up to the state level and I got to find out some interesting things. And I'd run to my home group and tell them all this wonderful stuff I found out about in the business meetings. And they go, yeah, we know. I go, but I took all these really neat notes. And they go, that's fine, thank you for sharing. And then one day, one of my gurus in the service committee said, Annie, this is for you. This is for you so you can help keep the doors open about Alcoholics Anonymous. I want to say now to any of you who think you know, trust me, if you have an opportunity to get in service, and service is anything you want, there are unlimited opportunities to serve. Do something in service. Find out about the traditions. Find out what keeps this door open so that you and I get to keep coming. I know we do meetings online. I know we do all this stuff. But there's something, Jim's sponsor says this every time he talks. And Don's been sober almost 50 years. And I trust people who've been sober that blessed long and still love being here. That's cool. Something happens in a meeting that can't be duplicated. It can't be replaced. And it can't be explained. It just is. When you and I hook up, something happens between us that no human being outside of these rooms could possibly understand. But you and I know. We speak the language of the heart that goes deeper than the soul, and nobody can touch that but us. Nobody can tear that down but us. And the ruins of Alcoholics Anonymous stop. It will come from within. And that's what our old timers said. That's what our co-founders said. If we ever crumble, it's because we fell down and quit doing those things in those committees. We kept being responsible. We kept making the phone call. We kept picking up the newcomer. Kept going to the treatment. Quit going to the jails. We kept going to those dumb meetings where the idiot is in charge of that committee now. When will he read the traditions and get his crap together? When he falls down enough and he learns he's hurting himself and others is when he'll learn. And we must be patient and allow them that opportunity to do that, because they need a chance to know what I found out in those days, because those traditions were for me. So that I know to let you do what you need to do, because we are autonomous in these rooms. And we need to do what we need to do so we can stay alive. Now you look at all the things going on in the world, and I'm telling you right now, every time something major disastrous happens and it really looks freaky and I get nervous, I look at my husband and I go, we are strong. We are together. And as long as we have AA, you can't touch us, world. You can't fix us. You can't hurt us. Because as long as you and I are willing to get together, I'm sorry about that, folks, but it's going to happen. And it's just amazing. I ended up meeting him on campus. If you've ever met him or her, go for it. You know what I'm talking about? He's at the coffee pot. I think he is the best looking cowboy I've ever seen, and I am in love. And don't you get in my way till I get to it. Now, I'm not going to ask any of you know him about it, because you might tell me something dirty about him. I don't want to hear it. He's mine. I own him. So I did that. I married him a week later. Now, I'm going to tell you about insanity. Because my insanity through my life is not always the drink. My insanity is more. And my insanity is, I don't have, so let's fix it and get another one. And my insanity can be anything that feels good, like Jimmy says, from the waist up, let's work for it. Or otherwise. Anyway, I meet him, and I think he's it. And we're in an AA assembly, for God's sake. And I see all of my AA friends that have been in service for a long time giving me that. I had one friend look across the room, and he was bold enough to say, "Are you absolutely out of your mind?" I said, "Yes." So anyway, wow, is that a trip? And this was after having amazing service sponsorship, amazing service work, being in therapy for about 2 years. But I evidently lost something or forgot something along the way, because we went off to Stuttgart, Arkansas. Now, if you've never been there, don't bother. Don't bother. They have rice there. Ducks. People who haven't farmed in years that live on welfare. Very religious dogs. Some not so. Anyway, 20 months later, we had moved to Clearwater, Florida. We put that name in the hat, God hat thing, and out I pulled Clearwater. And we ended up in Clearwater. I was trying to get him away from his family, who he hated, but he borrowed money from all the time, and all his girlfriends. And I thought if we got down here, we'd start fresh. We didn't know anybody. Everything was about 3 or 4 months later. He took off with his girlfriend. And what I had found out in the meantime is that I had all the tools I needed in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I had 12 steps. I had worked those steps in my life, and nothing had changed except me. All I had to do was use what you'd given me. Now open the toolbox and start using the tools. And the tools told me, you got yourself in this, work your program. Go to meetings. Pray for him. Ask for God to have his will in his life as well as yours. And leave it alone. And I did that. I get up every morning and say, God, have your will in his life as well as mine. At night I'd say the same thing. And so when he ran off, it was an answer. And I knew that I could make it because you give me everything I needed. I didn't need money to survive. I didn't even need a job, a house, or a car. All I needed was the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and people like you to tell me what I do next. You don't drink and go to meetings. That's what you do next. That's always what you do next. The rest is in God's hands. Leave it alone. Let him do his job, for God's sake. Because everything always happens exactly the way it's supposed to. I don't have to do anything. I don't fix anything. I just have to show up for everything. That's all. My little daddy years ago, I was looking for a job, and Dad said, Andy, just ask for God to help you be at the right door, and the door opens. I went, really? Yeah, right. So you never know when your door's going to open. The other thing I found out is nobody can get your door. It's yours. Just go through it. You've earned it. You deserve it. You're here. It's got to be yours. Nobody else can take your place. Nobody. I met my wonderful husband here. I wasn't looking for him. He wasn't looking for me. That's usually when it works. I got on my knees and I said, God, listen, I get it. I'm a little redneck from North Carolina. There's something way missing here in my sight. That's not going to happen. I don't know how to hook up with anybody. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. And Jimmy and I have been, we got married. I'm superstitious. We got married December, 12th month. We got married on 24. 12/24 works for me anytime. And we've been married for 23 years, December. And we're the best of friends. And his program is the most important thing in his life. He's got some babies here tonight that would do anything for him, and he would do anything for them. I have an amazing home group, and I have amazing friends. People come and go in your life, but the most important thing that happens to you is that you don't drink today and that you connect with another human being. I'm finding out the world is a lot bigger than I thought it was. Jim and I are getting to practice being around normal people now. It's really interesting. We're standing on the porch and everybody has a glass of wine but us. Our host has been gracious. I found out people don't push things on you. I push things on me. We had tea, we had coffee, we had everything we needed, and we're surrounded with people who love us. And as I'm watching this, I don't even resent the fact that they can drink and I can't. I'm just thinking, this is my family always wanted, and I belong here because you told me that I could belong there. You told me that. You said I can place myself anywhere, anytime, that I do not have to run from alcohol because it is no longer my problem. I was always my problem. That I don't have to run from alcohol. I don't have to fear it anymore. Because I have done a 10th step in my life, and it has worked, and it's come true for me. And sanity has been returned to me. And as long as I don't pick up a drink, I get to keep that. I'm so grateful. I'm done.
Thank you, Annie. We passed the basket in accordance with the 7th tradition, which states that we be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. If you would like to become a member of this group, please see me or any other group member after the meeting. Would group members please raise your hands? Thanks. If anyone is able to become a sponsor, please raise your hand. If you need a sponsor, give it the hand. All right, Matt C. has announcements.
Evening, everybody. My name's Matt. I'm an alcoholic. Amen. Upcoming speakers. Next week, we have Ann R. from Ozona. Excuse me, I'm not feeling too well. December 7th, we have Terrence from St. Pete. December 14th, we have Chris P. from St. Pete. December 21st, we have Dawn from the Fourth Dimension group flying in. December 28th is to be announced. That's going to be our anniversary meeting. There'll be a nice cake there. January 4th, we have Tommy M. from St. Pete. I want to welcome all the new people, anybody who picked up chips. If you're just coming in and you need a home group, or if you've been here for a while and you need a home group, if you're anybody that needs a home group, please see me after the meeting. We'll get you signed up and get you involved. After the meeting tonight, we are going to Gator Grill, which is on 54. It's in between Rowan and Madison, almost directly in between those. If you need directions, you can talk to Jennifer or myself. Literature and speaker CDs are available for donation on your terms, or you can visit our website and download them completely for free. As a little side note, if you ordered a disc from the speaker for Gratitude Dinner, Chris Kelly has those CDs tonight, or if you have ordered a disc from any of the speakers from our group, he has those as well. So see him after the meeting. Home group members speaking. On the 27th of November at the New Beginnings group, Wes R. will be speaking. A little side note for the New Beginnings group, it has a new location. It's at the Gulf Coast Worship Center at 10534 Little Road. For more information on that, you can see Jennifer as well. Chris and Melanie K. will be speaking this Sunday at Meese Dunedin at 9:30. Eric will be speaking at the YPG group in Tampa December 6th at 7:30 p.m. The Tampa YPG group is also having a group anniversary. That's going to be Thursday, December 13th at 7:30. Doors open at 6 o'clock. The speaker is Joyce R. from Washington, D.C. Bring a dish to pass. Men in Recovery is a men's group Tuesday nights at Pasco Big Book, every Tuesday night at 8 p.m., so show up. Tomorrow, Intergroup Central Office is moving to the new location. They need help from anybody that can lend a hand. That's going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm guessing we'll meet at the old office, and then we'll all help everybody get over there. Again, that's at 10 a.m. Come celebrate a sober New Year's Eve hosted by Pasco Big Book. That's going to be Monday, December 31st. Doors open at 7. Dinner will be served at 7:45. The cost is $18 per ticket. I have a phone number here, or see hands raised for more information on that. I've got one right there in the back. Swanee Big Book Weekend will be March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of next year. The conference and Retreat Center at Dowling Park. For more information on that, you can see David or Phil or Jim. Also, there's flyers at the front.